goodness. Oh, no, she got me this time. Damn. Normally, I'm the one that does it.
Yon gang.
Yeah, yon gang. Hey there, honey. How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Are you ready to learn more about Eazy-E today?
Oh, yeah. You're going to teach me about it?
I'm going to teach you about Eazy-E.
Okay. All right. I'm ready.
All right. So last time, in case you guys forgot, Eazy-E had 3 different allegories for how fucked Israel is. Today is no different. We're going to be going over how Israel's really fucked. But one of the allegories last week was incredibly uncomfortable. I don't even know what in the fuck that was about. God just had a very, like, To Catch a Predator type moment last week. First off, though, we're going to be starting with a classy bitch fest by Eazy-E about 2 rulers, Lord Zed and Jehoiakim. Are those the 2?
No. Jehoahaz.
Jehoahaz.
And that was Pharaoh.
Okay.
And that Pharaoh led Jehoahaz out. And then Jehoiakim went to Babylon. Jehoiakim.
There you go. So he has a little classy bitch fest about those 2 fucks, okay?
A lament.
Whatever, a classy bitch fest. We're going to go with classy bitch fest.
Okay.
He had his pinky out when he was bitching about it, so that's what makes it classy.
Oh, is that how it was?
Yes.
Does it talk about his pinky in the Bible?
I'm sure it does.
Oh, okay.
Talks about every other body part.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it does. Anyways, Eazy-E reminds Israel all about what dumb fucks they are and have been. It's kind of like one of those times when you see a random object and you start thinking about how dumb as fuck you were in the past. That's literally God in this instance reminding them that, you know, y'all are dumb. Eazy-E really lays it out all on the table. He doesn't hold anything back. God finally admits that some of his rules that he laid out earlier in the Old Testament were really dumb. But they were dumb for a good reason, because he wanted the Israelites to fuck up. Currently, the Israelites are still bumblefucks. And God is going to judge them like Simon Cowell would. You know, from way back when on American Idol when he was still there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, y'all are the worst humans ever.
Yeah.
I cannot believe how shitty of a human you are.
So judgy.
Might as well go light yourselves on fire or something. I don't know.
Don't do that.
No, God's going to do it here in a minute.
Oh, okay.
God talks about a better time. A time when the Israelites are not complete cockwobbles. God is then going to set everything on fire. Just like Simon Cowell would. and he's going to make the Israelites all piss themselves. I mean, honestly, can you blame them? I mean, you're just walking like from the store or something, and then all of a sudden everything bursts into flames, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on?
I mean, I don't feel like pissing yourself is going to put the fire out.
No, I mean, that's just how scared they would be, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Eazy-E is told by God that he, God, would turn Babylon into a sword and then fuck Jerusalem up. Y'all know what the term Gaddafi means? God's gonna Gaddafi Israel with Babylon.
Okay.
Eazy-E then goes on to warn Lord Zed. This is very important, okay? Eazy-E he talks about playing like a Trading Places type game. You know that movie with, what's his Ghostbuster ass and Eddie Murphy. I can't remember. Anyways, y'all know what Trading Places is, I'm sure. Maybe that's just too old. No?
I don't.
You don't?
No.
It's an 80s movie.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Dan Aykroyd? Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. Anyways, Eddie Murphy's a poor homeless guy.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Aykroyd is like a high-level exec. And then they trade places so that the homeless guy is now rich and the rich guy is now poor.
Like, they just start being each other's, they like step into each other's role?
Well, no, like through some kind of weird accident or something like that, Eddie Murphy is put into the rich person's position and the rich person's put into the homeless position.
Like in their bodies? Like they're in each other's bodies?
No, like their status in society is switched.
Yeah, that's what I said the first time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I didn't want people to think that it was like a conscious decision by either of them. Like neither of them chose to do it. They just kind of got thrust into this. Anyways, Eazy-E talks about that particular movie right here, with poor people being made rich and rich people being made poor, or some kind of fucking dumb shit like that. But at the end of all this, Eazy-E reveals that Lord Zed's going to be the last king until the Messiah comes.
I mean, that actually, it's Zed.
Zed.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. He would be the last.
Yep. Lord Zed's the last one. Now, can you imagine fucking up so bad at your job that somebody's like, you know what? Until the miracle man comes, we're just not going to fill this position again because it's not worth it.
Because y'all suck.
Yeah.
All of you suck at it.
Nobody can do this job correctly. We have to have a son of God come here and do it. And then the Amosexual Knights will also be fucked with the Babylon sword, right in the Gaddafi. Next, God is going to painstakingly lay out all the things that Israel were cockwombles at. Everything they fucked up. He's just going to list it out one by one.
Yeah.
It's like a Santa scroll, except for, like who's good and bad. Mm-hmm. They're just all bad for the same reasons.
Oh.
Y'all are dumb fucks. Y'all are dumb fucks. Y'all are dumb fucks. Oh, hey, look. Dumb fucks. The people of Israel are worthless to God at this point, and so God pisses on them. The end of this Bible study. It was a good one today. Learned a lot. Very humbled by this particular Bible study today.
Is it because you said God pissed on people?
I mean, honestly, that tracks with his attitude in the rest of the Bible.
Is it what the Bible says, though?
I mean, and not those exact words, but I mean, he basically says it.
I think we should probably go over the actual readings, though.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like this is going to be shit we've heard before.
I mean, some of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of it, no.
But hey, we got Jesus.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, Jesus doesn't come exactly, but, he gets talked about. I'm sure that strokes his ego.
Well, it's just one of those situations where God was like, if you can't get someone to do it right, you got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
So that's what God does, pretty much. He's like, fuck all you kings. You suck. I tried to help. Mm-hmm. I tried to, lead you in the right direction, sort of. But I also didn't and led you in the wrong direction on purpose. But anyway, fuck all of you. I'll come and do it myself when I'm ready.
You know how we learned, what was it? It was not this past week live stream, but the week before that. Mm-hmm. We learned about how octopuses will rip their penises off and throw them at the female octopuses.
Is that what God did?
Yeah, except he didn't rip his dick off. He just sort of ripped a piece of him off and threw it at the earth, and then that was Jesus.
Okay.
What's up, heathens?
How y'all doing?
Hi there, honey.
Hi, how you doing?
I went to do the intro and she yawned right as I was doing the intro, so I had to hold my breath for a second.
Sorry.
That's okay.
You know how it is over here. It's like yawn central.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I know that we got a lot to go through today because obviously I got some things wrong. Just some minor things wrong.
Yeah, just a few little details.
I think you'll understand where I got that God pissed on them.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, are you ready to start the actual reading here?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay, we're going to do Ezekiel 19 to 22 today.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And we're going to start out with Ezekiel bitching. I mean, that is what we're starting with.
A classy bitch fest.
We're starting with a lament.
Pinkies out, y'all.
Yeah. Okay, you ready? Take up a lament concerning the princes of Israel and say, and when he talks about princes of Israel, he's talking about a couple of Judah's kings.
Okay.
Okay, we're talking about Jehoahaz and Jehoiakim.
All right.
What a lioness was your mother among the lions. She lay down among them and reared her cubs. She brought up one of her cubs, and he became a strong lion. He learned to tear the prey, and he became a man-eater. The nations heard about him, and he was trapped in their pit. They led him with hooks to the land of Egypt. That's that's Jehoahaz.
Jehoahaz?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When she saw her hope unfulfilled, her expectation gone, she took another of her cubs and made him a strong lion. And this is Jehoiakim.
Okay.
He prowled among the lions, for he was now a strong lion. He learned to tear the prey, and he became a man-eater. He broke down their strongholds and devastated their towns. The land and all who were in it were terrified by his roaring. The nations came against him, those from regions round about. They spread their net for him, and he was trapped in their pit. With hooks they pulled him into a cage and brought him to the king of Babylon. They put him in prison, so his roar was no longer heard on the mountains of Israel. Your mother was like a vine in your vineyard, planted by the water. It was fruitful and full of branches because of abundant water. Its branches were strong, fit for ruler's scepter. It towered high above the thick foliage, conspicuous for its height and its many branches. But it was uprooted in fury and thrown to the ground. The east wind made it shrivel. It was stripped of its fruit, its strong branches withered, and fire consumed them. Now it's planted in the desert in a dry, thirsty land. Fire spread from one of its main branches and consumed its fruit. No strong branch is left on it fit for a ruler's scepter. This is a lament and is to be used as a lament. So the last part after we talked about the two kings is about Israel.
Right.
And how it's no longer fit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They're bumblefucks.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's my new favorite word for dumb people.
Okay.
A bumblefuck.
Okay.
And that's what the Israelites are.
Okay.
And the Judeans, just everybody that
All
God
of them.
likes.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to argue he likes them.
Yeah. He claims to like them. He's very fascinated by them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I don't really see him requiring all of this out of the other people. So, I mean, I think that if you've picked a group of people as your chosen people, you have to like them on at least some kind of level.
I mean, I don't think you have to. I think the idea is you want to, but then he uses every excuse to tear them down.
Yeah.
And we'll actually hear some of that in the next couple of chapters. So we just finished 19. We're going to move into 20. Are you ready?
Oh, totally.
And we're going to talk about Israel's history a little bit here. Okay. In the 7th year, in the 5th month on the 10th day, some of the elders of Israel came to inquire of the Lord. They sat down in front of me being Ezekiel, right? Then the word of the Lord came to me. Convenient. Son of man, speak to the elders of Israel and say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Have you come to inquire of me? As surely as I live, I will not let you inquire of me, declares the sovereign Lord. Will you judge them? Will you judge them, son of man? Then confront them with the detestable practices of their ancestors and say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. On the day I chose Israel, I swore with uplifted hand to the descendants of Jacob and revealed myself to them in Egypt. With uplifted hand, I said to them, I am the Lord your God. On that day, I swore to them I would bring them out of Egypt into a land I had searched out for them, a land flowing with milk and honey, the most beautiful of all lands. I said to them, each of you, get rid of the vile images you have set your eyes on, and do not defile yourselves with the idols of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. But they rebelled against me and would not listen to me, and they did not get rid of the vile images they had set their eyes on, nor did they forsake the idols of Egypt. So I said, I would pour out my wrath on them and spend my anger against them in Egypt. But for the sake of my name, I brought them out of Egypt. I did it to keep my name from being profaned in the eyes of the nations among whom they lived and in whose sights I had revealed myself to the Israelites. Therefore I led them out of Egypt and brought them into the wilderness. I gave them my decrees and made known to them my laws, by which the person who obeys them will live. I also gave them my Sabbaths as a sign between us, so they would know that I, the Lord, made them holy. So he talks about how, based on their actions in Egypt, because they didn't set aside their idols,
right,
he should have poured his wrath out on them there. But he didn't, to save face.
Right.
To save his reputation. And so he brought him out, and then he made a covenant with them, gave him his laws. This is when, we have, you've got Exodus, he brought him out, right? You've got Numbers and Deuteronomy,
right,
which are all your rules, right? So he gave them all of this and the Sabbaths. And that was the start of, okay, here now you follow these rules.
Right.
Right. But
there's always a but.
The people of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness. They did not follow my decrees, but rejected my laws, by which the person who obeys them will live. And they utterly desecrated my Sabbaths. So I said I would pour out my wrath on them and destroy them in the wilderness. But for the sake of my name, I did what would keep it from being profaned in the eyes of the nations in whose sight I had brought them out. So again, he's saying they didn't do what he said, so he should have destroyed them. But to save face his own again, so that he didn't look like a fool in front of the other nations, as if the other nations would matter because he's God.
Right.
He didn't do it, right?
I wonder if maybe it's like he didn't want to look like a fool in front of the other gods that were up there, like, like, ah, shit, my people are bumblefucks. Why couldn't I get the good ones over here, like Babylon? Let's go Babylon.
Well, I mean, he thought the Babylons were bad.
Yeah, I know, but that's because he chose the Israelites over the Babylons.
Also with uplifted hand, I swore to them in the wilderness I would not bring them to the land I had given them, a land flowing with milk and honey, the most beautiful of all lands, because they rejected my laws and did not follow my decrees and desecrated my Sabbaths, for their hearts were devoted to their idols. So this is where he made them wander in the desert.
Right.
Right?
Because they were dumb.
Because they didn't follow his rules, right? So they were required to wander in the desert. Yet I looked on them with pity and did not destroy them or put an end to them in the wilderness. I said to their children in the wilderness, do not follow the statutes of your parents or keep their laws or defile yourselves with their idols. I am the Lord your God. Follow my decrees and be careful to keep my laws, keep my Sabbaths holy, and they may be a sign between us. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God. So he talked to their children because remember, all of the adults of the current generation at that time had to die out before they were allowed to enter the land of milk and honey.
Right.
That's why they did 40 years. Also 40 being a magical number, but they gave a chance for all of the adults to die out.
Right. I think in was it in Ezekiel or was it in another prophetic book that God basically told them that they were going to be sent to Babylon and
for 70 years.
70 years. So basically they're going to die and their children, some of their children,
grandchildren,
it'll be their grandchildren that come back, so it's happened multiple times. This is a very standard thing, like standard punishment. Like, you know what? Fuck y'all can die. I don't care. I'll try again with your grandkids.
Yeah. So he told the children, right? Follow my rules. Don't follow the ways of your parents. But the children rebelled against me. They did not follow my decrees. They were not careful to keep my laws, of which I said the person who obeys them will live by them. And they desecrated my Sabbaths. So I said I would pour out my wrath on them and spend my anger against them in the wilderness. But I withheld my hand, and for the sake of my name, I did what would keep it from being profaned in the eyes of the nations whose sight I had brought them out. Also with uplifted hand, I swore to them in the wilderness that I would disperse them among the nations and scatter them through the countries, because they had not obeyed my laws, but had rejected my decrees and desecrated my Sabbaths, and their eyes lusted after their parents' idols. So,
I can just imagine the kids sitting there and being like, "Yo, y'all see that big tittied statue over there?"
Well, so he's going through step by step. Why he didn't destroy them at every step was to save face, to make himself look better.
Oh, yeah.
But he's going through step by step through the history of Israel, and that they never followed his ways, right? Okay. And now he's talking about, we're a few generations down here now. And he says this, and I think this is really interesting. So I gave them other statutes that were not good, and laws through which they could not live. I defiled them through their gifts, the sacrifice of every firstborn, that I might fill them with horror, so that they would know that I am Lord. So Here,
Wait, fill them with horror?
yeah, scare them.
Like,
So they'd be scared.
How is I find myself drifting further and further away from this whole God is good thing. Like, I don't find it to be all that good of a thing to fill somebody with horror in general.
The entire backbone of, especially the Abrahamic religions, Christianity is big in this, the fire and brimstone thing. They rule, they control people with fear. That's how they do it. People are afraid to go to hell. They're afraid that God will not be pleased with them. That's how they keep power. That's how they keep getting people. They scare people.
Yeah, I want to propose a new catchphrase for our Bible podcast.
What's that?
God is good all the time. And all the time. Wait, what?
But this part here is interesting because he says he gives them laws through which they can't live. Laws that are not good. So this is similar to how in Exodus God hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he could not do the right thing. Pharaoh couldn't do the right thing if he wanted to because God hardened his heart. So God did the same thing here. He didn't harden their hearts, but he gave them bad rules, bad laws, and he admits that he did it. He gave them bad laws that were not good, or statutes that were not good, and laws through which they could not live. And he says, I defiled.
So I wonder which laws he inserted in there to like fuck them up.
Well, one of them was the sacrifice of every firstborn.
Yeah, that's not firstborn kid. That's like firstborn. Well, unless the kid's a goat. It's like firstborn animal. Like God required them to get the firstborn, and he explained it by saying that like the first fruits of everything.
Well, that's something different. So the first fruits is a thing. But this is from Exodus 22, verse 29. It says, the firstborn of your sons you shall offer to me.
Like as a child sacrifice, maybe? Or I wonder what that means.
I mean, we talked about it in Exodus.
Oh, I know we did. I'm just sitting here like, what the fuck? Because all the time apologists are like, well, you know, the Ammonites or the Midianites were like doing child sacrifices.
Yeah, they sacrifice their kids. Well, so the Israelites, they don't do that. There's a lot of condemnation of human sacrifice in the Bible. God is not a fan of human sacrifice, but that's exactly what this piece is referencing right here, is where he said, I defiled them through their gifts, the sacrifice of every firstborn. So, and that's what this is talking about. It's talking about Exodus 22:29. The firstborn of your son you shall offer to me. So anyway, which they don't do, right?
Right.
But he gave, there are other laws, supposedly. That's what he's talking about. I gave them statutes they couldn't live by.
Right.
Things that were bad. And he gave those to them so that if they followed them, that would be bad. But if they followed them, they'd think they're doing what God wants.
This is all very confusing.
It's very convoluted and ridiculous. So, and it's similar to how he hardened Pharaoh's heart, because so Pharaoh could not do the right thing if he wanted to. And this is setting the Israelites up so that they'll do the wrong thing no matter what. But he's saying he did that because them and all of their fathers before them didn't follow the rules, wouldn't let go of their idols. So this is what they deserve, right? Okay. So therefore, Son of Man, speak to the people of Israel and say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. In this also your ancestors blasphemed me by being unfaithful to me. When I brought them into the land I had sworn to give them, and they saw any high hill or any leafy tree, there they offered their sacrifices, made offerings that aroused my anger, presented their fragrant incense, and poured out their drink offerings. Then I said to them, what is this high place you go to? And then it has a note here. It's called Batma to this day. Batma means high place. They're talking about multiple high hills and high trees and also leafy trees and shit. But then they specify that this place is called Batma, so I'm not really sure what that's about. But they continue here in Ezekiel 20 about not just the past rebelliousness, which is what we've talked about right now. We've talked about the history we've gone through. You've been rebellious this entire time. Well, they're still that way. So it's going to continue. You ready?
Let's get on with this bumblefuckery.
Okay. Therefore say to the Israelites, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Will you defile yourselves in the way your ancestors did and lust after their vile images? When you offer your gifts, the sacrifice of your children in the fire, you continue to defile yourselves with all your idols to this day. Am I to let you inquire of me, you Israelites? As surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, I will not let you inquire of me. You say, we want to be like the nations, like the peoples of the world, who serve wood and stone. But what you have in mind will never happen. As surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, I will reign over you with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, and with outpoured wrath. It will bring you from the nations and gather you from the countries where you have been scattered, with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, and with outpoured wrath. I will bring you into the wilderness of the nations, and there, face to face, I will execute judgment upon you. As I judged your ancestors in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so I will judge you, declares the sovereign Lord. I will take note of you as you pass under my rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. I will purge you of those who revolt and rebel against me. Although I will bring them out of the land where they are living, yet they will not enter the land of Israel. Then you will know that I am Lord.
His rod.
Yeah. So he's basically talking about bringing the remnant back.
Right.
But before he does that, he's got to make sure that they're all on board. And anybody who isn't on board isn't coming.
Fuck y'all. Y'all can stay at the rest stop.
He's going to beat them with his rod.
Yeah.
Some of them might like it.
Yeah, they probably will.
Okay, so this continues and talks about, we're going to talk now about how there will be a time of no rebellion after, because I mean, that's his point. That's what he wants to do here. He wants to bring his remnant back, and the remnant will be what he intended them to be from the beginning.
Right.
Right? As for you, people of Israel, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Go and serve your idols, every one of you. But afterward, you will surely listen to me and no longer profane my holy name with your gifts and idols. For on my holy mountain, the mountain of Israel, declares the sovereign Lord, there in the land of all the people of Israel will serve me, and there I will accept them. There I will require your offerings and your choice gifts. And that's choice gifts is the first fruits.
Okay.
Along with all your holy sacrifices, I will accept you as fragrant incense when I bring you out from the nations and gather you from the countries where you have been scattered, and I will be proved holy through you in the sight of the nations. Then you will know that I am Lord. When I bring you into the land of Israel, the land I had sworn with uplifted hand to give your ancestors. There you will remember your conduct and all the actions by which you have defiled yourselves, and you will loathe yourselves for all the evil you have done. You will know that I am Lord when I deal with you for my name's sake, and not according to your evil ways and your corrupt practices, you people of Israel, declares the sovereign Lord. So again, this is all about him and him saving face.
Right. It's always about God. Everything.
And he talks about how they should hate themselves. Which is a common theme in Christianity.
And abusive relationships.
Yeah. Okay, so we're keeping going in 20. You ready?
Oh, my butthole's puckered for this one.
The word of the Lord came to me, son of man. Set your face toward the south, preach against the south, and prophesy against the forest of the southland. Say to the southern forest, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says. I am about to set fire to you, and it will consume all your trees, both green and dry. The blazing flame will not be quenched, and every face from south to north will be scorched by it. Everyone will see that I, the Lord, have kindled it. It will not be quenched. Then I said, Sovereign Lord, they are saying of me, isn't he just telling parables? The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, set your face against Jerusalem, and I preach against this and preach against the sanctuary. Prophesy against the land of Israel and say to her, this is what the Lord says, I am against you. I will draw my sword from its sheath and cut off from you both the righteous and the wicked. Because I am going to cut off the righteous and the wicked, my sword will be unsheathed against everyone from south to north. Then all people will know that I, the Lord, have drawn my sword from its sheath. It will not return again. Therefore groan, son of man, groan before them with a broken heart and bitter grief. And when they ask you, why are you groaning? You shall say, because of the news that is coming. Every heart will melt with fear, every hand will go limp, every spirit will become faint, and every leg will be wet with urine. It is coming. It will surely take place, declares the sovereign Lord.
It's coming, and y'all are gonna piss yourselves when it does.
That's exactly what he's saying.
Yeah, but also I kind of imagine him telling, I think he was telling the Israelites to go to the southern woods or something like that and yell at them.
Where?
It was talking about going to like some kind of woodland area and yelling that he's gonna burn it all down.
That's not what he was saying. He was just saying he was going to set fire. He's telling Ezekiel, not all the Israelites. He's telling Ezekiel to preach against the South and prophecy against the forest of the Southland.
Yeah, the forest of the Southland.
Yeah, but he's not telling all the people to go and yell at the forest. He's saying prophecy against the South. It's irrelevant. It's basically the homeland. The Southland is the homeland. Okay, because the North is the Babylonians, the bad people.
Right. I mean, I was just meaning that I envisioned whoever yelling at a bunch of trees being like, I'm going to burn y'all all down. And,
I mean, you just have a very active imagination.
I mean, somebody's got to make this interesting, right? And then what happened in my mind was one of the trees just sort of turned back and looked at Ezekiel like, the fuck did we do to you? And then turned right back around. It was like one of them tree things from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, no, he's not actually talking about trees.
I mean, he said he's going to burn the trees down.
Right. The Israelites.
Oh, the Israelites are the trees?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I took it way
Nobody
too
gives
literally.
a shit about a forest.
I mean, to me, it seemed like God really cared about the forest. It was like,
they're his forest.
I'm going to burn this shit down.
Okay.
Sorry, I wasn't taking that as like a parable or anything.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing that I think is interesting is he literally says everyone will be so scared. I'm going to scare everyone so bad they'll all piss themselves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He said it in kind of like a fancy way. Nowadays, we just say piss yourselves. Back then, he put his pinky up and be like, your pants will become wet with urine.
Leg. Every leg.
Leg, whatever.
Mm-hmm. They weren't wearing pants.
Whatever it's not a toga. They're not Greek.
All right, are you ready to continue?
Yeah.
The word of the Lord came to me and said, Son of man, prophesy and say, this is what the Lord says. A sword, sharpened and polished, sharpened for the slaughter, polished to flash like lightning. Shall we rejoice in the scepter of my royal son? The sword despises every such stick. The sword is appointed to be polished, to be grasped with the hand. It is sharpened and polished, made ready for the hand of the slayer. Cry out and wail, son of man, for it is against my people. It is against all the princes of Israel. And in this case, princes of Israel's prophets.
Okay.
They use princes of Israel in a couple different ways. Sometimes it's kings, like when we talked about the lament of the two kings. They used princes, but they were talking about the kings. Here, they're talking about the prophets. They are thrown to the sword along with my people. Therefore, beat your breast. That's how you tenderize it. I'm just saying.
Fucking beat your breast up. Just smack it. Give it one of those little things where you like wave your hand in front of the titties.
No, we're going to continue. Testing will surely come. And what if even the scepter, which the sword despises, does not continue, declares the sovereign Lord. So then, son of man, prophecy and strike your hands together.
We got sound effects now, y'all.
Let the sword strike twice, even 3 times. It is a sword for slaughter, a sword for great slaughter, closing in on them from every side, so that their hearts may melt with fear, and the fallen be many. I have stationed the sword for slaughter at all their gates. Look, it is forged to strike like lightning. It is grasped for slaughter. Slash to the right, you sword, then to the left. wherever your blade is turned. I too will strike my hands together, and my wrath will subside. I, the Lord, have spoken.
Clap the hands. I will clap my hands together and do the cha-cha.
Mm-hmm. So the sword in this case, this sword is Babylonia.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm going to explain. You ready?
He melts down the entire city and he fashions a huge sword, which he then plunges into Israel's anus.
No, this isn't your time. You ready? The word of the Lord came to me.
Sorry.
Son of man, mark out 2 roads for the sword of the king of Babylon to take, both starting from the same country. Make a signpost where the road branches off to the city. Mark out 1 road for the sword to come out against Rabbah of the Ammonites, and another against Judah and fortified Jerusalem. For the king of Babylon will stop at the fork in the road, at the junction of the 2 roads, to seek an omen. He will cast lots with the arrows. He will consult his idols. He will examine the liver.
Okay. All right, Hannibal Lecter.
Into his right hand will come the lot for Jerusalem, where he is to set up battering rams, to give the command to slaughter, to sound the battle cry, to set the battering rams against the gates, to build a ramp and to erect siege works. It will seem like a false omen to those who have sworn allegiance to him, but he will remind them of their guilt and take them captive. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says: because you people have brought to mind your guilt by your open rebellion, revealing your sins in all that you do, because you have done this, you will be taken captive. Okay?
All right.
Now, in this next part, he's talking directly to Zedekiah, the king.
Lord Zed.
Yeah. You profane and wicked prince of Israel. Again, we're swapping from prophet to king.
Mm-hmm.
Whose day has come, whose time of punishment has reached its climax. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Take off the turban, remove the crown. It will not be as it was. The lowly will be exalted, and the exalted will be brought low. A ruin. I will make it a ruin. The crown will not be restored until he to whom it rightfully belongs shall come. To him I will give it.
Oh, that's got to be Jesus right there.
Yeah. So what he's what Ezekiel stop. What Ezekiel is telling Zedekiah is that he needs to remove the crown, and that it won't be as it has been with kings of Israel.
Okay.
That the crown will not be restored until he to whom it rightfully belongs shall come. To him I will give it. And so we know that that's the Messiah, right? So there will not be a king in Israel until Jesus comes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Till Jesus comes. Hard.
It was unnecessary.
Is any of this necessary?
I mean, I don't know, to some people. And you, son of man, prophesy and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says about the Ammonites and their insults.
Ooh, the homosexuals.
Well, so just a minute ago, Babylonia had to decide whether or not they were going to go in the fork in the road.
Right.
Whether they were going to go and destroy Judah or whether they were going to go and destroy Ammon, right?
Right.
It doesn't really matter.
They're both getting fucked up.
Yes. A sword, drawn for the slaughter, polished to consume and to flash like lightning, despite false visions concerning you and lying divinations about you, it will be laid on the necks of the wicked who are to be slain, whose day has come, whose time of punishment has reached its climax. Let the sword return to its sheath in the place where you were created. In the land of your ancestry, I will judge you. I will pour out my wrath on you and breathe out my fiery anger against you. I will deliver you into the hands of brutal men skilled in destruction. You will be fuel for the fire. Your blood will be shed in your land. You will be remembered no more, for I, the Lord, have spoken.
Yeah. Fucking ammos.
And so the Ammonites are going to be destroyed too. Also by Babylon.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because why not both, right?
I mean...
Fuck them both up. I mean, why we got to choose?
Yeah. So that's the end of 21.
Okay.
chapter 21. So we're going to go on to chapter 22, and he's going to list, this starts out the listing, the enumeration of Israel's sins.
Oh, great. All right, let's go through this list.
I feel like we could be here all day. Of course, they say this. The sins aren't, they don't vary significantly, right? They're the same old shit every day.
Yeah.
So this shouldn't be too bad. You ready?
Yep.
The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, will you judge her? Will you judge this city of bloodshed? Then confront her with all her detestable practices and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. You, city that brings on herself doom by shedding blood in her midst and defiles herself by making idols, you have become guilty because of the blood you have shed and have become defiled by the idols you have made. You have brought your days to a close, and the end of your years has come. Therefore I will make you an object of scorn to the nations and a laughingstock to all the countries. Those who are near and those who are far away will mock you, your infamous city full of turmoil. So again, he's mad about idols and bloodshed.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah, which he instructs people to do. Anyway, see how each of the princes of Israel who are in you uses his power to shed blood. So here, princes of Israel are prophets again. Prophets. Right. In you, they have treated father and mother with contempt. In you, they have oppressed the foreigner and mistreated the fatherless and the widow. You have despised my holy things and desecrated my Sabbaths. In you are slanderers who are bent on shedding blood. In you are those who eat at the mountain shrines and commit lewd acts. In you are those who dishonor their father's bed. In you are those who violate women during their period when they are ceremonially unclean.
God forbid you engage in sex during that time.
It's so funny. They mention this so many times in the Bible.
I guess it was a problem back then.
It just seems ridiculous and unnecessary. I don't know why they're so focused on this, but it is obviously a thing. In you, one man commits a detestable offense with his neighbor's wife, another shamefully defiles his daughter-in-law, and another violates his sister, his own father's daughter. In you are a people who accepts bribes to shed blood. You take interest and make profit from the poor. You extort unjust gain from your neighbors, and you have forgotten me, declares the sovereign Lord. So that was like a shit ton of you are shitty people.
Yeah, a bunch of violating. Like apparently fathers are violating their daughter-in-law, so like their sons' wives.
Yes.
Apparently. I don't know how that fucking worked.
And then brothers violating their sisters. Neighbors violating each other's wives. Yeah. But well, I mean, it's not just about violation. It's about how you profit from the poor, how you don't take care of the father, orphans or widows, how, there's how you take bribes to kill people. Like there's all kinds of sins. I mean, did I just list it out? Slanderers.
Yeah.
Hmm? They eat lunch at shrines, which is a serious problem depending on what you eat, I guess.
Your fucking bologna sandwiches at the shrines.
Mm-hmm. I will surely strike my hands together at the unjust gain you have made.
I'm a little slow.
At the unjust gain you have made, and at the blood you have shed in your midst. Will your courage endure, or your hands be strong in the day I deal with you? I, the Lord, have spoken, and I will do it. I will disperse you among the nations and scatter you through the countries, and I will put an end to your uncleanness. When you have been defiled in the eyes of the nations, you will know that I am Lord. Then the word of the Lord came to me as Ezekiel, obviously. Son of man, the people of Israel have become dross to me. All of them are the copper, tin, iron, and lead left inside a furnace. They are all but the dross of silver. Dross, in case you don't know, is something that is regarded as worthless.
Okay.
So this is where he's saying the people of Israel are worthless to him.
Yeah, apparently they're just, it seems really weird that he's focusing on this group of people that seem to be worthless now.
Yeah. Okay, so therefore this is what the sovereign Lord says. Because you have all become dross, I will gather you into Jerusalem. As silver, copper, iron, lead, and tin are gathered into a furnace to be melted with a fiery blast, so I will gather you in my anger and my wrath and put you inside the city and melt you. I will gather you and I will blow on you with my fiery wrath, and you will be melted inside her. What?
I'm going to blow you with my fiery wrath.
Yeah, he turns into a dragon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's exactly. I mean, he turns right into a dragon,
Mm-hmm.
and then he pukes on him.
No, I mean fire breathes. It's not puking.
Listen, okay. If a dragon breathes fire like that,
Mhm.
then if he pukes, it's lava. So he's gonna puke lava from his.
It doesn't
dragon
say
mouth.
that. It says breathe fire. You're just making up shit that's not there.
I mean, it makes it more interesting.
I know, but we try to do it right.
I know. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Okay. As silver is melted in a furnace, so you will be melted inside her, and you will know that I, the Lord, have poured out my wrath on you. Again, the word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, say to the land, you are a land that has not been cleansed or rained on in the day of wrath. There is a conspiracy of her princes. This again is prophets. Within her, like a roaring lion tearing its prey, they devour people, take treasures and precious things, and make many widows within her. Her priests do violence to my law and profane my holy things. They do not distinguish between the holy and the common. They teach that there is no difference between the unclean and the clean, and they shut their eyes to the keeping of my Sabbaths, so that I am profaned among them. Her officials within her are like wolves tearing at their prey. They shed blood, kill people to make unjust gain. Her prophets whitewash these deeds for them by false visions and lying divinations. They say this is what the sovereign Lord says, when the Lord has not spoken. The people of the land practice extortion and commit robbery. They oppress the poor and needy and mistreat the foreigner, denying them justice. I looked for someone among them who would build up a wall and stand before me in the gap on behalf of the land so that I would not have to destroy it, but I found no one. So I will pour out my wrath on them and consume them with my fiery anger, bringing down on their own heads all they have done, declares the sovereign Lord.
Fuck yeah, sovereign Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Fuck them up.
So that's the end of Ezekiel 22.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And the end of the Bible study today.
Yay.
Do you want to hear about next week?
Sure, why not? Let me guess. Let me see if I can guess. Israel is going to continue to get fucked up by God. They're shitty fucking people. And they're lucky that God is going to leave a remnant.
I mean, that seems to be common themes, but we're going to talk about we're going to get offensive. We're going to get offensive next week.
Wait a second. I haven't been offensive yet.
We're going to get offensive about the exposure of two promiscuous sisters.
Ooh.
And these two promiscuous sisters are Israel and Judah.
Oh, those.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about the siege of Jerusalem. The rebellion against Babylon and the siege of Jerusalem. Next week is actually pretty it's not very long.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
These seem to be kind of unstable as far as like their lengths go, because they a couple of weeks they'll be really long, and then it's like next one's like really short.
Yeah, this next week is just Ezekiel 23.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we did like what, 4 chapters? Yeah, 4 chapters. It's crazy. All right. Well, if you guys want to hear about these promiscuous sisters next week, then you'll have to tune in then. We would love to hear what you guys think down in the comments, so definitely go down there, leave us your thoughts, and I guess we will see you heathens next week.
Don't forget to stand up and use your voice.
Bye, heathens.
Bye, y'all.